Hello and welcome to Getaway Day. My name is Gautam, his name is Mason, and today we are talking about some early breakout players, the slow starts of the Astros and the Cardinals, the hot starts of the Guardians, and much more. So, what do you say we get right into it, Mason? How are you doing today?
I am doing well. I would be doing better if I could turn on a Cardinal game and go, I think we're going to score 2 runs today and feel confident about that, but I can't. You know what else I can't always do? I could do it 3 out of 5 days. And then we go through the process again. I can't go feel pretty confident we're going to give up less than 6 runs.
Hey, that part of it hasn't been as bad as you think. I feel like they're only giving up like four point some runs per game.
Yeah, these 14 to 1s really stand out.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's definitely recency bias, but
Yeah,
it stands
it's hard to
out.
forget those. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but how have
Okay.
you been, man? It's been a couple of weeks since we've got to podcast together. How's your baseball watching been going? What's up? What have you noticed?
Uh, lots going on in the early season. I always feel like there's so much stuff that I notice early on in the season that just totally surprises me. Even after like getting ready for the season, we did our division previews. I'm preparing for fantasy baseball drafts and stuff like all winter long. So I have like a lot of expectations for stuff, and I'm still surprised in the first 3 weeks of the season, like every single year. And that's what makes it great for me. That no matter what I think I know, I'm proven wrong time and time again. I mean, maybe that means I'm stupid, but I don't think that's what makes me stupid. I think that's just baseball.
No, what makes you stupid is just the way that your brain works.
That
Yeah.
that may be
Yeah.
true.
I got you. I got your
You
back,
got
Gowie. I'll help you figure this out.
Yeah, so glad to be back, and you got me. You got my back.
You know it.
We're going to start our conversation today with some early breakout players. There's plenty of breakouts happening, but I've got a few guys listed here that are guys that have really impressed in the early going. The first one is Washington Nationals shortstop CJ Abrams. And yeah, Mason's showing his card of CJ
It's
from
actually
what year
numbered.
is that?
This is 2023, or sorry, 2024 Topps Chrome Black. This actually just came out last week. This is numbered to 15. Just thought I'd show
Wow.
that off. It is going live on the YouTube channel as soon as I dub over the audio because I'm an idiot. So there's 2
Yeah.
idiots on this podcast.
Yeah. Please subscribe. CJ Abrams, though, he's a guy that it feels like he's been around forever because he kind of has. But then we remembered that CJ Abrams is still just 23 years old. And he, was a high school draft pick. He basically rocketed up through the minor leagues and missed a lot of time due to injuries. And he was in the major leagues by what,
22.
2021,
22.
2022? And he's a very young guy, very little experience, as I've mentioned. And he didn't really show like he showed flashes, but he definitely had not put all the pieces together, all the tools together. He has a pretty good bat to ball skill. He hadn't shown much power as a major leaguer at all. Um, and there were other areas of his game that needed work too, like his defense and just he was not a complete ball player. And in 2024, the strides
Well,
the guy has made
so
to
I
this point.
actually kind of want to talk just real briefly about his 2023, just
Yeah.
to set up what we're about to talk about. So 2023 for CJ Abrams was his first full season. He came out of the gate pretty cold in March and April, kind of hit a little bit of a hot streak in May where he hit 247 with 4 home runs. It seemed like maybe he was getting going again. And then June happened and he did nada, not a thing. And then he goes out and hits 327 in the month of July with 3 more home runs and then falls back off. And so he's shown these pretty high peaks, I would say, as far as like a power and speed combo, because he 47 steals last year across the whole season. Like, he showed this power speed combo that just he couldn't seem to sustain. But it was definitely there. So, and then now going into
yeah, so
2024.
yeah, that's a good point. That's a great point. Like, he clearly showed improvements last year too. It's not like he's coming in to 2024 and this is the totally new CJ Abrams that we've never seen. It kind of is, but it's kind of not. Like, there were signs of it late last year. But this year, the thing that I think that he's doing super well is he's actually barreling balls up. He's in the 78th percentile of barrel rate. He's got an 11.3% barrel rate. And there's a great piece on Fangraphs. You should go check it out about this slight mechanical tweak that he has in his setup that allows him to keep his barrel through the zone for longer. And I think that's allowing him to access that power as he grows into his body. Like, when he was 20 or 21, when he was a rookie, he clearly was not doing a lot of damage with his batted balls. And now he's just a bigger man. So he's able to do a lot more with um, his bat to ball skill
Yeah, the
actually turn it into power.
the combination of bat speed and just sheer strength, it's amazing what it can do for you. Just
Yeah.
2 years can certainly add some to your pop. I mean, Abrams already has 6 home runs, and we're not even at the end of April. So, like, he's looking to blow his 18 home runs from last year out of the water.
Yeah. And with this success story of Abrams, it's a reminder that these developments take long time. They take a long time. We always talk about prospects that get called up and how they're struggling and they get sent down to the minor leagues. We're probably going to talk about that later in this hour.
Yep.
But
Juan
CJ Abrams
Soto is the
stick with it.
anomaly, not the
Yes.
template.
Exactly. So Abrams went through his struggles, was growing as a player, and now we understand, we remember why he was like a top prospect and he was so hyped. It just doesn't come immediately.
So I do think the other thing that I want to make sure that people know about, like, his development, especially this year, is not only his batted balls been better, his selectiveness has been way better. Like, over his 3 seasons in the majors, his rookie season, he walked 1.7% of the time, took almost no walks. Last year, walked 5% of the time. Through the first month this year, he's up to 8%. So it seems like he's getting more selective, and with that selectivity, what's the word? Well, I don't know which one of those is a real word.
I feel like they were both real words.
Were they? Okay.
Yeah.
Choose your favorite of the 2 words I just said. But with that, he's selecting better pitches to drive. And so I think part of it is just he's a larger, more muscular guy now. Part of it is that he's just swinging at better pitches.
Well, he is and he isn't, right? Because CJ Abrams is never going to be a guy that doesn't have the aggressiveness. Like, he still swings at lots of pitches outside the zone, but he's still but I agree. He's selective, he's picking his spots, and he's actually accepting some walks now. It's not like like 1%, 5%, those are not sustainable to be like a good major league hitter. And now he's up to a range where, like, he's right around average, and that's totally going to play with his other skills that he brings to the table.
Yeah, and it's helped him keep his OBP up almost to 375, getting kind of close to 400. That's a really, really good OBP.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Anything else on CJ Abrams?
I hope he's the start for the Nationals. I hope that he's not the only. Because this is a team that if they can successfully build around him, which they should be able to, I think that they could get fairly competitive.
Yeah, James Wood has been raking both in spring training and to start in AAA, so he might not be too far away from a call. And those 2 guys that's how you build a team.
Yep.
Basically. Another team that has clearly done the building, and now they're fully formed and kind of firing on all cylinders. That's the Baltimore Orioles, who we talk about all the time. They're just loaded with prospects. Jackson Holiday's made his debut. Lots of other guys have made their debuts and have been called up. The one guy, like for me personally, that always kind of went under the radar was Jordan Westburg. He was just like another one of their guys, but he was almost like without a face. Like it's just like, who is this guy? And he didn't really impress in his first taste of the majors last year. Like he played a little bit, but he wasn't super good. And now this year, he's like just hit the ground running, and um, he's a huge part of their offense. Like he looks like a mainstay.
Sorry, I'm getting jinxed out by a sneeze. Um, but yeah, no, I completely agree with you. Like last year, 68 games, so like he had a significant sample in his first year in the majors. Like he was okay. He hit 260, slugged 404. Like he was about a league average bat, 3 home runs, nothing impressive. But then to come out the gate this year, he's hitting over 300. He has 5 home runs. He's matched his steal total from last year. Like he's already racked up 1.3 WAR, which is 0.3 WAR more than he amassed last year in 68 games. So he is having a lot better start. And like kind of what we were saying about CJ Abrams, like, and age tends to help a little bit. Like he's now in his age 25 season. Like that's kind of where most guys start to really break out in the majors, is around 25. He had his taste last year. He was able to make some adjustments, and he wasn't bad last year by any means. He just wasn't anything special. So like him being able to make some adjustments, come out and show improvement and consistency here in the first month of this year, I'm really excited for Jordan Westburg. Honestly, I think it's going to start getting difficult for them to figure out who's going to be in the lineup each day, because they're going to have so many guys. Once Jackson Holiday figures out how to make contact here at the majors, so he strikes out an awful lot right now.
That's so true. Like it's going to be highly competitive to make this lineup, and if these guys keep succeeding like Westbrook has, he's clearly like got the job for now. I'm just surprised by this, because I think what I knew about Westberg as a prospect is that he does everything like pretty well, above average, but there's no real like standout stuff. He's not like an 80 grade power or like a great hit tool or super fast. It was like he's good at everything, but he's making that work, and that obviously translates into be like an amazingly valuable player to your team.
Well,
It's just like,
and honestly, from just a roster building standpoint, it kind of makes sense to have and want that type of player in your lineup every day, even over having like one guy at every position who's the most toolsy of one tool. Like to have 3 guys that are pure power, a couple guys that are pure speed, a couple of guys that are pure contact, like you're gonna have a lot of holes in there. And so a guy like your Jordan Westberg, they are like your
glue guys.
Yeah, they're the glue guys. They're the plug to fill the hole. Like you can put him out there and you know he's going to run the bases well. You know he's going to get you some home runs, probably 20-ish home runs a year. Seems pretty reasonable for like a low end. He's gonna get you average. Like he's gonna play good defense. You put him there. You don't worry about it. You deal with the other 8 guys as they go through slumps and things like that.
So the final question on Westberg, and I think you kind of just answered it there. You don't like take this hot start to mean that Jordan Westberg is like a superstar.
No.
He's actually just having a hot start, and he's going to be just like a good player.
So I think the best way for me to describe what I think I see out of him is a Brendan Donovan. Like a guy that you really like having on your club. Like teams were asking about him in trades and things. The Cardinals wouldn't part with him. He's in the lineup every day. It doesn't matter where he plays, but he's always there. He can lead off. He's got some power. He's got enough speed. He could take a couple bags. He could play solid defense. Like he's one of those guys that you don't expect him to go out there and top the jersey sales chart. You don't expect him to go out there and be the guy that everybody wants to interview, but he's probably one of the most fun guys in the clubhouse. I could pretty much guarantee that. I don't even know the man, and I can guarantee just based on everything about the way he plays.
Why are you saying that? But okay.
It just seems like all the like the guys who are just kind of not spectacular at anything, but just really good at everything on the baseball field. They just seem to be guys that people gravitate towards.
Yeah, no, that's true. Like he's got no weaknesses both on and off the field.
Yeah.
We're just projecting here, but that's fun. Let's do it.
I imagine he probably rescues cats from trees, and I love that for him. I love it.
Wow, we're just building the legend of Jordan Westburg now.
Yeah, I have a full-on collection of Jordan Westburg like numbered cards back there.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I'm hoping he becomes a superstar, but if he doesn't, I want the legend to grow.
Yeah. Okay, now here's a guy that there's no mistaking what he is. He is a superstar. And that is.
Oh. We went two different ways there.
We are talking about Elly De La Cruz of the Cincinnati Reds, who has had quite a remarkable start to the season. Like, it has been something else. Like, what? He's got 6 home runs and 10 steals.
7 home runs, 12 steals.
Okay, sorry. I'm losing count. I can't keep up.
You missed like 3 innings here, bud.
Yeah, I know. So Elly, he's that tooled up guy. He's that superstar prospect. And the funny thing is, he's doing so well, and he's still struggling with the things that we were worried about, like really high strikeout rate. He still has that, yet it doesn't seem to matter with the guy. Like, he does the other stuff so well that it's like, who cares if he strikes out 30% of the time?
So I will say, and I was actually thinking about this before I looked at this particular number on his sheet. Elly to me feels like one of those guys that is going to be hot and cold. His entire career is going to be hot and cold. He's going to have like the best like single month that any player has ever had, and then he's going to have a really rough one the next month. I kind of expect that May might be a crash back to earth, or maybe not a crash, but like maybe a free fall to get a little closer to the ground. But like he's BABIPing almost 400 right now. Like there's something going on in there that those flaws are going to start popping up more as soon as the luck stops falling his way.
But the luck may never stop falling his way. He's still like one of the top 5 fastest guys in the league. He hits the ball so incredibly hard. And the other thing that can bust his slumps is the fact that he's also a patient hitter. He walks 14% of the time this year. So even when the hits aren't falling, he's still going to be getting on base. He's still going to be stealing bases.
I get that. And like, I'm not expecting him to go from best player in the league to worst player in the league. I'm just like kind of expecting it to be more of like, he's going to be the best player this month. He's going to be middle of the pack the next month. Which
is everybody, right? Even the stars are like that, I would say. You know, if your bad month is still average, you know, you're a great player then.
That's fair. I just don't want to root for him because he's on the Reds.
Oh man.
Let me hate him. Get
over that.
Let me hate him.
Just love the player. Don't care about the teams. Who cares?
Hate the game. Love the player. Hate the game. I love Matt McClain. I'm never going to hate Matt McClain.
Why?
He's just so awesome. It doesn't seem like he should work.
I love the awe in your voice.
Yeah, just it doesn't seem like Matt McClain should work as a baseball player in the majors. Yet he does. And he's really good.
Any other attacks that you want to make on Elly or
Uh,
not?
he's too tall.
He's too tall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if I saw him, I would have to kick him in the shin just to bring him down a little bit closer to my level so that I could speak to him.
Yeah.
I just
I don't even know what to say to that.
Any other attacks on Elly? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I mean, I asked for that one. So.
You did. It's all right. Now we're going to go to the part where I'm actually upset.
Okay. Let's do that then. We're going to talk about some teams that have had really tough starts to the year. Like these were both teams by projections supposed to be the winners of their respective divisions. And today we sit here on April 24th, and both these teams are on last place in their divisions. And we're going to talk about the Astros and the Cardinals and see if we think that these are like this is what the season is going to be, or can they turn things around? And how did we get to this point? Like, what has happened to put the Astros in last place? I mean,
And
their record today is 7-17.
yeah,
That's like a jarring thing to see in the standings with the Astros because we're talking about a team that's made the championship series 7 or 8 years in a row now. We are not used to them having hardly any struggles at all, and here they are, like really, really struggling out of the gate.
yeah, and I think there's maybe one or two main differences here between the two teams. Like before we dive into them, is like it seems like the Astros at 7-17, like it's a 4-game difference. So like the Cardinals are only 3 games away from 500. Like that's not that big of a hill to climb in the scheme of the next 140 games. The Astros are 10 below 500. Like that's a bit bigger of a hole. Granted, we're still incredibly early. It won't be all that hard to come out of that if they start playing the way that they should.
No, but that's a good point, right? You're fighting against math, right? It's just a lot more games that they have to make up.
Yeah. Yeah. And so like it's not that many games. Like 3 games difference between the two is not that big, but it does make it harder to overcome. But both teams seem to be struggling to hit the ball. The Astros have scored 98 runs on the season through 24 games. The Cardinals through 25 games have scored 87. So both teams' offenses not getting it done when most every other decent team has scored 100 or more at this point. They're also kind of on the higher end of runs allowed. Like the Cardinals are up at 113 runs allowed. The Astros, I think, are maybe the highest in the majors at 131. Second highest in the majors at 131, behind only the Colorado Rockies as far as runs allowed. So, like, just to give you just a brief overlook of what maybe the main issues are here for the Astros, it's very much pitching.
Yeah, let's go into the Astros here. So yeah, pitching, I agree, because they have 5 pitchers on the injured list right now. That's any team that loses 5 starters is going to be struggling. And let's just talk about the guys that are left, right? So you got Justin Verlander. He's come back from his injury. He had a first pretty good start. But the thing about Justin Verlander is we can't treat him as like an elite best pitcher in the league at this point. Like he's good, but he's not the guy that he was like 2 or 3 years ago. Like I think that guy's gone.
Yeah. That guy,
so that's fine. That helps. That helps the Astros cause. But then behind him, we're talking about a guy like Hunter Brown, who has just not had things click for him. He had a game against the Astros like 2 weeks ago where he gave up the Royals, sorry. And he gave up like 11 runs or 9 runs in the first inning and got 2 outs. And he had to get pulled from the game. So huge blow up starts like that, and then Framber's hurt. Christian Javier is now hurt. They've still got Luis Garcia. McCullers are hurt. Urquidy's hurt. So then who's left? Like
I mean,
you're calling up rookies.
their five starters right now are Justin Verlander, Ronel Blanco, who threw that no hitter, and he's
been really good.
He's been really good so far.
He's been a savior for them. Yeah.
Yeah. JP France, who has not been all
He's
that
been
great.
awful. He's been terrible.
Hunter Brown,
Awful.
and Spencer Arrighetti.
Yes, he's like their top pitching prospect, who clearly does not seem like he's super ready for the majors at this point.
Yeah, in 7 innings, he's given up 9 earned runs on 11 hits.
Yeah,
with
that's just a tough situation. It's like they need him because they need to cover innings and they need someone to start the games, but he's not seeming like he's a guy for the job right now.
Yeah, like they're so hurt that like at one point I think Forrest Whitley was called up, although I think he's only going to be out of the pen at this point in his career.
Yeah.
But he's already been sent back down. Like even their bullpen is not doing well. Ryan Presley has an 8 ERA. And that's in 8 2/3 innings. He's given up 8 earned, 10 total runs. Brandon Belock in 12 innings has given up 7 runs. Like Sean Dubin in 4 innings, he's given up 6 runs. Like the guys
you missed a big one. You missed a big one. Josh Hader has an 8.38 ERA.
Oh shoot, I was looking down at the wrong part of the screen. Yeah. Josh Hader, 9 earned runs in just over 9 innings. Like something's going on, and I don't know what it is. Are the opponents like spraying their baseballs with water? Like what's happening?
I don't know. Maybe you're onto something.
I don't know, but it is not going well.
Right. Yeah. So do you think that with a little bit of health, is that like the main thing that's crushing them right now? Like Framber is apparently coming back pretty soon. Other guys maybe will come back at some point. Is that like, or is this like going to be impossible for them to overcome just because of the situation that they're in with the pitching right now?
So I think they'll be able to overcome it to a point. They're not a 7-7, or they're not a. I guess what's the. They're not they're not a 292 winning percentage team over 162 games. Like that's Oakland A's territory right there.
Yeah.
That's Chicago White Sox territory right there. This team is going to finish around 500 at this point. Really? I would assume. Around.
So you don't think they'll make the playoffs?
I don't know. Right now, without knowing the whole health situation and how guys are going to come back from that, I do not want to go out and say that they're going to win 87 or 86 games. Like,
fair. Yeah.
Like we just talked about how bad these guys have been. Like they're going to have both their rotation get healthy and pitch effectively and have that entire bullpen turn it around, because the only guy in the bullpen who's really pitching well, it seems, is, well, there's 2 or 3 maybe. Rafael Montero, Taylor Scott, maybe. Like it seems to be about it. Like,
yeah, and it's funny because preseason we literally talked about the Astros as having the best like 3-man end of the game bullpen with Abreu, Presley, and Hader, and those guys have all really, really struggled. They're probably not going to continue like that all year. They're really good pitchers, but that's why they are where they are right now, because pretty much nothing on the pitching side has worked out for them.
That's probably 66% of why they are where they are.
The other part's the offense.
Their offense, while it has a lot of potential and should be really good, has started so cold. As a team, they're hitting like 263 with 25 homers.
But that's the thing. That's where I struggle, because like I'm literally looking at the batting leaders for the Astros, right? Altuve, 198 WRC plus. Tucker, 170 WRC plus. Pena, 137. Alvarez, 142. Yiner, 124. Jake Myers, 117. All these guys are playing well.
So
So
how
what's
are they
going
not
on?
how are they not scoring runs? Like
I don't know.
does it
I'm
always
confused.
come up to Jose Abreu to drive in the run and then he gets out? Because I mean, Jose Abreu has
It's having
4
such a
hits.
bad. Yeah.
He has 4 hits.
Are they all singles?
No. One of them is a double.
Okay, 3 singles and a double, and we're literally like 3.5
3
weeks into
singles
the
and a
season.
double, 1 RBI, 17 strikeouts. Like
So that's
he's
where like
been
I don't feel like this offense is actually bad. I feel like they're fine.
but they're missing their opportunities right now. And
Maybe.
so and those missed opportunities are helping to put them in the hole that they're in. Like I like
So I'm less worried about the offense because
I
I see that their players are still succeeding other than Abreu.
well
But
that's why I gave it like a 1 part to 2 parts to the pitching. Like
yeah.
it's mostly the pitching, but the offense not coming through to put up runs to help float this terrible pitching staff right now. Like this is a team that should be at double-digit wins,
Yeah.
and they're gonna have to wait until next week to get to that point.
Yeah, it's just like all compounding and bad stuff for this team right now. Even when the offense is doing okay, for whatever reason, maybe the sequencing just hasn't played out their way. And then with all the bad pitching on top of it, it's just like, wow, that's rough.
Yeah,
So
but I
overall,
do.
I think I agree with you that they're going to have a pretty tough time making the playoffs. Just getting back to 500, 10 games below 500 is like tough to make up
Yeah,
over any
and
stretch
they
of
still
time.
have to deal with the Mariners and the Rangers in that division. So like those 2 teams have not exactly taken off so far, but they're above 500.
Yeah.
Like they're setting themselves up to go on a run and take a commanding lead if the Astros don't get this figured out quickly. And Alex Bregman, by the way, he's been awful personally.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to trash one of their offensive players.
Go for it.
Well, that was it. Just he's been awful.
No, no.
So,
I got
yeah.
you. Yeah. All
Um,
right. Let's shift gears here to the Cardinals. The Cardinals have I'm going to start with the positives here. Their pitching has not been dreadful. Like some people thought it might be this year. Like they're returning some of their players. They brought in a lot of veteran starters, and generally those guys have pitched well. I don't know if it's going to like continue all the way, but you can't really be upset with the overall body of work from both the bullpen and the rotation to this point in the season if you're a Cardinals fan.
yeah. So Sonny Gray coming back was huge. Because
Yeah, he's
Sonny
been great.
Gray, through 3 starts, when he was pitch limited in the first 2, the first game, 65 pitches, 5 scoreless innings. The second game, 75 pitches, 6 scoreless innings. The third game, he went into the 7th, I believe, and he ended up giving up 1 run. Or no, sorry, 2 runs. But like only giving up 2 runs in the course of 3 starts and basically like dominating while he's been on the field. That's been something that it seems like the Cardinals haven't been able to do. The pitching staff has been a lot better than people expected, but we're still seeing a lot of base runners on when like Lance Lynn or Kyle Gibson are pitching. Like there's been a lot of walks so far. A couple of those guys have just been giving up a lot of hits. Like Miles Michaelis has given up 33 hits so far in 26 innings. Add in another 7 walks, like his whip is not particularly great. And he's been giving up the home run bug too. So it's like we're giving up a significant amount of runs, but generally the pitching staff, the starting pitching staff is keeping us in the game through 5 to 6 innings. Might not be a completely clean 1-run deficit or 2-run deficit, but it's close enough that we should be able to catch up. The bullpen has been really good. If we get to the bullpen, we're usually fine. With Jojo Romero has looked awesome so far. Ryan Helsley is doing Ryan Helsley things. Matthew Liberatore out of the pen, other than the walks, is looking pretty good. Giovanni Gallegos is the guy struggling the most right now, and then we did option down
Thompson today.
Zach Thompson and last week Andre Palante. So those two are kind of the other guys here that we need to kind of keep an eye on. They've both struggled, but those guys are guys who have shown that they can have really good stuff in the majors. So, like, I'm not too concerned about the pitching staff. Watching the starting pitching does get a little frustrating sometimes with all the runners that we get on. Like today, Kyle Gibson was on the mound. I think the bases were loaded like 2 or 3 times. And like with 0 or 1 out, he managed to get out of it every time. But
that's not going to happen every time.
No, basically. It's not. Like, so it's going okay right now. It could get scary if those situations keep happening. Sonny Gray is a godsend.
Yeah, so basically the starting pitching, to everyone's surprise, has been the part of the team that's kept them floating around 500 at this point. Otherwise, they'd be kind of in an Astro situation because of just how bad their offense has been. And it's been a shock. It's been a major shock to me because on paper, you look at this offense and you got, Arenado and Goldschmidt, Nootbaar and Contreras. You say, oh man, these guys like are going to put up plenty of runs. They're going to be playing like, slugfests, and their pitching is going to let them down, but they're going to score plenty of runs and they're probably going to be good because of that. And that has not been the case at all. They're second to last in the major leagues in home runs. I think that says a lot about where they are right now.
The 2 best hitters on the team, Wilson Contreras, okay, makes a lot of sense. Like, we kind of expected him to be doing Wilson Contreras things, hitting for a decent amount of power, having a fairly good batting average for a catcher. I don't think 292 is quite what people were expecting. But the other guy who is hitting well is Mason Wynn. And he is just hitting the ball all over the field. He's so fast that he's turning routine ground balls into hits. And that's helping a lot. But he doesn't really have a whole lot of power. He doesn't have a home run yet this year, which not all that surprising. Not really a big part of his game. But it got so bad that we called up Pedro Pages to be a third catcher on the lineup so that we could put Ivan Herrera, who was hitting pretty well, in the lineup every day with Contreras because they were the only 2 that were producing at the time. Like, that's where this lineup is. Paul Goldschmidt, for the first time since he's been in St. Louis, hit outside of the 2, 3, or 4 spots in the lineup.
It wasn't even just the first time in St. Louis. It's the first time in 11 years.
Yeah.
That he's hit below 5th in the line or below 4th in the lineup or whatever. So, I mean, that's like the big one for me.
And
it's Goldschmidt. What's going on with the guy? Like, he hasn't done anything. He just has no power. He's not even getting his hits.
No. Either. And I don't know. It's so weird. And like, people talk about is Nato washed, and his is weird too, because it's like he's getting his hits. He's actually getting hits he would never get before. He's getting hits to the opposite field down the line. Nice little like poke it into the other field type of hits. He's just so slow he can't do any damage that way. But his swing is different from the last couple years. He's like, it's visibly different. And he's not pulling fly balls, which is where he did all of his damage. That's where he hits 30 home runs, drives in 100 runs a year. So I don't know. Like, he's still hitting 300 almost, but
it's a very, very empty like 300. I think the guy has hit like 1 barrel all year, which is really bizarre.
So
it's probably going to get fixed, but right now, this is why the offense is struggling so much, is because I think like the team in general is not really hitting those fly balls to the pull side like they had in the past.
Like,
that's how they would get to the power, and they're not doing it this year.
OPS plus, which for those of you that aren't Gotham and may or may not fully understand what OPS plus is, takes your on base plus slugging percentage and then it basically normalizes it with the entire rest of the league. At 100, you're average. Above that, you're above average. Below that, you're below average by whatever the difference to 100 is. The Cardinals have 3 starters that are over 100 OPS plus. And it should be fairly easy to guess, seeing as I've already talked about all 3. But it's Mason Wynn, Nolan Arenado, Wilson Contreras. The next highest outside of Ivan Herrera, who's at 98, is Brendan Donovan at 86.
Yeah, it's so weird that like Nolan Arenado is essentially like a slap hitter at this point. He makes a ton of contact and he does no damage whatsoever. So it's like,
and
okay,
he's one of the slowest guys in the league.
Yeah. So that approach is not probably the most fruitful for him. But I don't know. Like, I think in general, I still believe in these guys. I still don't think this is who Nolan Arenado is. I don't think this is who Paul Goldschmidt is. So things are going to turn, but to what? That's the question.
Yeah. That's the other big thing is 25 games into the season. Can you tell me how many extra base hits the Cardinals have got out of the center field position?
So that would be mostly Victor Scott, who basically had no hits in his time in the majors.
Victor Scott and Michael Ciani.
Michael Ciani has also done next to nothing as an offensive player. So I'm going to guess like 2.
4. Scott had 3 doubles. Ciani has 1 triple. And they are a combined 9 hits. So we basically have just a spot in the lineup that's a guaranteed out. Like, it's the lineup construction, you can only blame it so much. Like, those 2 guys, Ciani and Victor Scott, given the rest of the black hole that is our offense right now, not a good lineup move. If the rest of the team were hitting, okay, yeah, you could definitely stomach that. But when you got one guy that's hitting, like, you can't tolerate that for 3 weeks.
Yeah. This lineup actually kind of reminds me of like the 2018, 2019 Cubs in some ways, because like on paper they had all the big names, yet they never gelled, they never like got it going. And it wasn't this bad last year, but there is some continuation from like the struggles that they actually had last year. It's now like less shocking, or it's going to be less shocking going forward, because now it's like over the course of 2 seasons where they've had some of the same types of struggles.
It's at the point where all the same people who drove Jeff Albert out of St. Louis to where he refused to come back when he was offered a contract extension, those people are now heralding Jeff Albert and how good of a hitting coach he was. And then they're just like, he was just the fan scapegoat. It's like, why are you just realizing that now? Now they're doing the exact same thing with Turner Ward and how bad of a hitting coach he is. It's like, are we sure he's the problem?
I mean, the thing is, like, the Jeff Albert stuff worked, right? It worked.
Yeah.
And now they've gotten away from it. And where are we now?
Well, and that's exactly where people have been coming back to. They're like, the things that Jeff Albert was teaching, now we don't have it, and now we're really, really bad. Like, yeah, because he was right. He knew what he was doing. But like, now the other thing that I want to talk about with the Cardinals specifically, though, is some of these young guys have just been really, really struggling. It's like Victor Scott got optioned back down the other day. He's now at AAA, which he skipped entirely before this year. So like, this is his first time at AAA. So he'll get some work in there. We'll see if he can figure some things out. But today, Jordan Walker was optioned back down, which is not a move that I necessarily expected, but it's a move that I think was entirely necessary. Number 1 overall prospect for the Cardinals for years. Like, moved positions. He's been figuring out right field. His power never really showed up, which is kind of what people thought he would be. But he was hitting really well last year as far as like average was concerned, and he was getting doubles and he was being a part of the offense. So far this year, Jordan Walker has only hit 155. He has not got a home run yet. He's not been able to lift the ball. He's struck out 18 times.
The strikeouts concern me because that's increased from last year. It's like going in the wrong direction.
Yeah, I think he's pushing so hard to break out that he's swinging at everything, and it's just tumbling downhill. It's an avalanche is what it is. So sending him down, I think they're gonna give him a couple of weeks to reset, because basically everything that's happening this year is what was happening with him before they optioned him down his rookie season.
But the crazy thing is, like, he still is doing some stuff well, even though the overall numbers look like terrible. But still hits the ball really hard, barrels the ball sometimes. I mean, hits a lot of ground balls also.
It's just all at the ground is what it is. He's swinging it low and away sliders and sinkers and hitting everything into the ground, but he's hitting it hard. And like, really the two things you could do to fix that are be more patient, don't swing at everything, or change your swing and get more lift on some of these. But like, if they're that far down in a way that you're just pounding them into the dirt, it's probably more pitch selection than anything.
Yeah. And I don't know, like, it's not, I don't know if it's like as easy as just fixing your swing, you know. There's more to it. There's like where you catch the ball, like out front, and
like
it's also like not something I feel like that's just gonna like get fixed in a few weeks at AAA.
I think there's a lot of it is mentality. I think there's probably some mechanical things that need to happen, but you got to start somewhere. And I think he's just been in a free fall for so long that now they're like, oh, okay, we need to start. So let's send him down. Just even start at just a confidence point.
Yep.
And then work from there. Yep. I'm just worried that it might turn into a Jared Kelenic situation, where every time he goes down to get his confidence back, he rakes at AAA, doesn't change anything, comes back to the majors and has the same problem over again.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I don't want to see.
Mm-hmm. And he's another guy, super young, just like Kelenic. He's just 21 now. So it's not that crazy that he's being sent down again.
Yeah.
And the performance kind of warrants it. And the Cardinals clearly need offense. They can't just like run him out there every day hitting 155. It's just probably not a good move for anyone.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else on the Cardinals before we change to a happier subject?
I don't think so.
All right. So we're going to talk about the best team in baseball, who everyone totally expected. And that is the Cleveland Guardians, who have just had everything pretty much go their way. There's like one thing that didn't go their way. That was the injury of Shane Bieber. But other than that, like, things are looking good. How did the Guardians do this?
Well, you see, I have no idea. Magic? Magic, I suppose. I mean, really.
Yeah, so that's a good point, right? Like, you don't know. This team's just like totally under the radar. What have they been doing?
I mean, it's their hitting is what's holding them up. Like,
yeah.
Like, Estevan Florial, through 14 games, it has what? 2 home runs, a triple, a couple of doubles. He's hitting 243. Like, Will Brennan, who I think platoons most of the time, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Or no, I'm thinking Will Benson from the Reds. Sorry. But he's hitting 246, but like doing damage with it. 2 home runs. Tyler Freeman has 3 home runs. Stephen Kwan has 2 home runs. J-Ram has 4. Josh Naylor has 6. Bo Naylor has 2. Like, this is a Guardians team that has somehow found power.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, right? Because they always had the contact. They were near the top in the league like the last 2 years, and it worked really well for them in 2022, and then totally didn't work at all last year. And everyone was like, "Oh, okay, this is why an approach that's contact only with no power is never successful." And this year, I don't know how they're doing it because they have a lot of the same players as before. They somehow have had some power, so maybe it's just like a fluke.
I think it's a little bit fluky. Like, part of it is, well, one, Josh Naylor's a god. Like, his power is legit. That's, I fully believe and understand that. Him hitting 321 seems a little high.
That doesn't seem. I mean, it is high, but like
Like,
that was Josh
280.
Naylor's like best tool, though. He always had the hit tool, but he never would hit for power. And now he's like a full blown superstar. It's crazy how good the guy has been this year.
And then Stephen Kwan is hitting 350. So he
Yeah,
has a lot of volume of hits. So him lucking into 2 home runs, not really all that surprising.
yeah.
Like, so getting, I think it's guys like Kwan and getting that power production out of them that's maybe the fluky part. J Ram is going to have 30 home runs. Josh Naylor, if he's healthy, is going to have probably 40.
Oh
Like,
man, that would be something.
if he's healthy.
Yeah,
Um, Bo Naylor, I mean, he's not really doing all that great. Like, he's kind of in the same spot as the Jordan Walker, except he's run into a couple home runs and he is a catcher. So, like, you kind of tolerate it a little more.
I kind of
Um,
like the contributions from like the younger guys that are now finding their footing, like Tyler Freeman, Gabriel Arias. These are like the former shortstops that are now not playing shortstop, and they're actually finding places in the field to play. Like Freeman had never played center field, and now he's doing that, and he's doing it pretty well. He's picked up on that fast. So their strategy of getting all the middle infielders, this is the reason why, is because these guys theoretically can translate all over the field and be able to pick up new positions on the fly. And I think that's working.
the other place where the Guardians excel, and I think this has probably helped them quite a bit, is as a team, they have taken 9, 10, 13, 18, 21 hit by pitches that they've taken. 6 of them,
Laureano has a lot, right?
6 of them from Andres Jimenez. He leads the team. 5 of them from Ramon Laureano. 3 from David Fry. 3 from Tyler Freeman. 2 from Josh Naylor. And 1 apiece from Rocio, Will Brennan, and I thought there was another, but I think that's it. Like,
That's interesting.
I think they're crowding the plate and getting free runners out of it, and then they're converting. Like, they've got 4 guys with 10 plus RBIs right now. Naylor's already at 20. J Ram's at 19. Like, it seems like they're just playing really good, well-rounded baseball. They've got power.
Yeah.
They've got contact. They're stealing some bases, not a ridiculous amount, but they're stealing bases.
I think they're actually stealing more than you think. It's like no one guy has a lot of steals.
Only
They all have,
only one guy does not have a steal though, and that's the
Naylor, I
key.
think.
It is Naylor.
Yeah.
Josh, not Bo.
Yes,
Bo
Josh.
has 1 steal. But
And then on the pitching side, the bullpen really impresses me because they've got a ton of guys that are like super high strikeout. Clase, Hunter Gaddis has now become a great reliever. Cade Smith, Nick Sandlin. These guys are no name guys, but they're all going out there and like dominating. And they really need to, because the issue with the Guardians is that their starters have not gone deep into games. Since Bieber left, they're really like piecing it together with guys like Carrasco, Ben Lively, Tanner Bybee hasn't been so great, and neither has McKenzie. But they've kind of like been able to manage. I don't know if it's sustainable, but it's been pretty good.
so in 2024, actually, before 2024, if I told you the best pitcher in the Guardians was going to be Cookie Carrasco, would you have smacked me?
No, I would have been like, yes, you're right. That makes sense.
All right. What if I would have told you prior to 2022 that in 2024, Cookie Carrasco would be the best pitcher in the Guardians? What then?
No, I'm kidding. I would have been surprised.
Yeah. But no, Cookie has been really solid. Like, he's pitched 18 innings across 4 starts. So, like, not going terribly deep, but like, he's pitching well when he's on the field. Everyone else in the rotation has got like a 4.5 or higher ERA, other than Ben Lively, who only has 2 starts under his belt. So, factoring him out because I want to see a little bit more from him first. But I don't know. Yeah, this bullpen's been awesome though. Like, ERA plus, which isn't really the most valuable stat, but it's just gaudy numbers here, so I'm going to use it anyway. ERA plus, so basically the same as OPS plus for the hitters. Emmanuel Clase, 512. Tim Herron, 485. Nick Sandlin, 229. Eli Morgan, before he went on the IL, 181. So, like, they've got some pretty good guys here in the relief staff.
Yeah. But yeah, no, this has been a fun little surprise of the season. Like, all this stuff that we've talked about today, it's like Cardinals have a bad offense. What? The Astros have bad pitching. What? Guardians hit for power all of a sudden. What? So
CJ Abrams is a superstar. Well,
that one's less
that one kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Anything else you got for us before we say goodbye?
I don't think so. I think that's about it for me.
All right. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you next time.
If you enjoy the podcast, please subscribe on your favorite podcasting app or YouTube to make sure you don't miss any future episodes. Join the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Getaway Day Pod. If you enjoy card collecting, check out our sister YouTube channel at Getaway Day Cards.